You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama and Tennessee syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, covering down on all the issues. And, oh yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to Thursday. We got no sound effect. It's just Thursday. But it's Friday Eve is what we like to call it around here.
Maybe we still got to work on a T-Bone Thursday.
A T-Bone Thursday does sound like a winner since we're food-centric on all the other ones, except for the camel.
Well, it could be.
No fried camel for lunch. And by the way, that is the illustrious JP on the board. Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
You got some snow this morning.
We did.
Yeah,
I was outside in it for a little bit. It was flurrying quite nicely.
I left to go work out, and I literally stood there in front of my door and just was like watching it. So I was like, I was not expecting snow.
I didn't know that was coming, to be honest.
No, I didn't either. Yeah,
but it's frigid cold out there today too, though. Welcome to Rightside Radio's Frozen Tundra edition. But yes, we're gonna have a great show laid on for you. Coming up at 3:30, you know the deal. It's Thursday. What does that mean? We got Butters and Lee at 3:30 today, so stand by for that. We'll have them on at 3:30, and then I got a triple dipper filled up with stuff. Hit it, man.
The Triple Dipper. 3 stories you've got to know.
That's right, the Triple Dipper, 3 stories, 3 themes, if you will, that you got to know as we run today's show. So first out the gate, the border is back, baby. The border is back. So we have a border again. Have you noticed that? And I'm not just talking about a little bit. I'm talking about full-throated, all-of-government approach to the border is back. And last night, late, proving that he never sleeps, President Donald Trump signed a late evening executive order related to the border and or the immigration issues, and I'll tell you about that as we get to it. The border is back. That's number 1 on the Triple Dipper. Number 2, transmania. Oh, geez. Yes. We're not fully done with this. I mean, there's always going to be something, but it's not official policy anymore. Or is it? Well, it depends on where you live, apparently, because some people just continue to do what they want to do. We'll talk about it. Transmania, number 2 on the Triple Dipper. And then number 3, is it possible that woke is becoming a dying language? I thought about that this morning. I ran across an article about a woke glossary and all the things that we've been for, and I'll talk about it more in my monologue too here in a minute. But I thought, you know what, that's worthy of a segment. I've actually got a whole glossary of terms. We're going to pick it apart and laugh at the attempts to revise our language with woke words. And I'll talk about that as number 3 on the Triple Dipper. All right, listen, we got plenty laid on here, but let me just go ahead and move on into the opening monologue, The Rightside Way. And I'll remind you guys, The Rightside Way monologue brought to you every single day by attorney Stan McDonald. He's a partner at the law firm of Wilmer and Lee in Huntsville, and he is the daily sponsor of The Rightside Way, and I'll tell you more about him here in just a minute. Okay, is it just me, or did everybody growing up sit at the kids' table during Thanksgiving? Now, I don't know if that's just a Southern thing. Somehow I doubt it. For me, it was always when we got together on my dad's side of the family because that's where all the cousins were. So we'd head over to my aunt and uncle's house down in Pleasant Grove. My brother and I and our cousins and the occasional stray friend or a second cousin's kids that came for the meal, we always sat at what we just called the kids' table, the one in the kitchen. All the grown-ups sat at the dining room table together, but we sat in the kitchen at the kids' table. And there was some good cutting up. There was the occasional food that you stole off your little cousin's plate or the hollering that commenced when somebody got kicked under the table. But for the most part, it was laughter and homemade everything. But then you always had to make the occasional foray into the dining room to ask if you could have seconds or to tell on your brother or ask if we could go outside and play now, but not until you've eaten your green beans, young man. And how many times, though, when you get up and leave the kids' table to go to the adult table, how many times did someone, or maybe all of us, at the kids' table get out of hand, and at least one of those adults would turn around and yell, "Y'all keep it down in there. Stop poking your sister. Eat your vegetables. Let us enjoy our meal, please. Answer me. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir." And 5 minutes later, we were back to it. as kids will do. But as much as I enjoyed being at the kids' table, there was always this sense that one day I would graduate up. One day I'd matriculate to the dining room, where food ran aplenty and there seemed no end of laughter that I could not explain. Grown-up conversations that I didn't understand. I mean, it's a rite of passage. That time when every kid is allowed or perhaps even invited to sit at the grown-ups table and to hear the grown-up conversations about work or news or neighbors or memories from before I was born. Those grown-up conversations were often a mystery. Sometimes they resulted in the usual questions like, "Dad, what are they talking about?" Followed quickly by, "Don't interrupt, son." Until suddenly one day something gets said in a grown-up conversation and you actually understand it and maybe even relate to it. And on that day of days, you chime in and your comments are actually well received. And at that point, you feel like adulthood has arrived because now you're in the grown-up conversation at the grown-up table and they treat you like that. Like, well, a grown-up. So having said all that, can we just have a grown-up conversation right now? I mean, all of us in Rightside land, can we just talk a minute? Because sometimes I look around the world and I feel like I'm sitting at the adult table, but somehow or another, the kids over there at the kids' table are dominating all the discourse. Look at society right now, y'all. When did it become right for wrong to be considered right? I know traditions and mores and culture can all shift sometimes, but even when they do, even when society picks up a new fashion or does less of one thing and more of another, even when those cultural shifts take place, they're usually still guided by right being right and wrong being wrong. I mean, principles, if you will. Principles don't change. Principles are meant to withstand the fickle winds of culture. And so I'm just saying that all of us that are in the know, we need to have a grown-up conversation and deal with the kids' table. I feel like we've had, for the past 4 years, like a large-scale version of the kids' table getting out of hand. It's been woke culture, diversity, equity, inclusion, critical race theory, environmental, social governance in your banking, COVID lockdowns, online censorship, transgender ideology, men playing in women's sports. It got to the point that it seemed like the kids' table was completely out of control. There were the occasional shouts for them to calm it down, right? And the library of terms that woke required us to memorize. Every day it was like a new addition to the LGBTQ acronym. A different way of addressing so-called systemic racism and cultural appropriation. Buzzwords became real words as suddenly pronouns meant something other than what they were intended. It's as if woke had its own dictionary, and we had better get on board or the woke police are going to start correcting us for speaking out in old school way. We learned about things like dead naming, equity, intersectionalism, heteronormativity. We were taught that pansexual was good and queer baiting was bad. Toxic masculinity and white feminism were all the thing for a week or two. We heard about BIPOC, performative activism, whitewashing. There was BAME, BOPO, Bopropriation, not to be confused with mansplaining and manspreading, which are totally different but related. Listening from the adult table to the kids' table was like listening in on a different language. But I recall, though, in 2023, when Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the former White House press secretary, now the youngest governor in America, came on and had an actual adult conversation. She was the Republican rebuttal that year to Biden's 2023 State of the Union speech, and it was refreshing to say the least. She pulled no punches. She made it clear that those of us on the right are not out of our minds for thinking that those on the left are out of their minds. And then she dropped the bomb. No fooling. The political equivalent of the adults shouting at the kids' table to keep it down and eat their veggies. Governor Sanders said, here's her quote, "The dividing line in America is no longer between right or left. The choice is between normal or crazy." It was refreshing. It was affirming. It was like a grown-up conversation. Sometimes I do what I do and I say what I say, but it does me good to hear somebody else clearly and unequivocally speak words of truth to power that remind me that we are the ones at the grown-up table. We have the knowledge and the experience and the care and the concern to clearly and articulately tell the unruly kids at the other table to keep it down and eat their vegetables. Or in this conversation, to quit trying to pretend that there's more than two genders, that tax dollars grow on trees, and that children really want to have their bodies altered for life because that's just cool, or that failing schools should be allowed to continue failing. Well, how about no to all of it? I'm done with that. All y'all out there in Rightside land, why don't we just go ahead and enjoy the fact that we are the ones at the grown-up table? But listen, woke's not going down easy. Woke is unruly and petulant. Woke world is filled with folks that act like spoiled cousins who whine and carry on and always seem to have somebody patting them on the head when they really need is a good whooping. Like take this past weekend. As Saturday Night Live celebrated its 50th anniversary with an all-star cast, Tom Hanks, whose work I truly admire, thought it'd be awesome to put on a MAGA hat and portray a white redneck who just wants everyone to go to church and then refuse to shake the hands of a black man. Was it meant to be humor? Maybe. Was it funny? No. And let's be honest, it was really designed as an insult. An insult from the kids' table to the adult table, because woke can never really read the room. Or how about the news that broke yesterday that Cynthia Ervivo, you know her? Cynthia Ervivo, the bald black woman with a nose ring who self-identifies as genderqueer, will now play the role of Jesus in an upcoming production. Yes, Jesus. That Jesus. A bald black genderqueer woman with a nose ring. Look, I don't know what that is, but it ain't Jesus. And the woke mob knows it. But they're still the ones at the kids' table, believing that people want to see their God being mocked at the adult table. And then there's the epic work being done by the dudes at Doge, which has liberal heads exploding. They don't know what to do, and as the woke jobs are being axed, they take to social media to actually air their grievances with the belief that the world will rush in to sympathize with the notion that we no longer have 28-year-olds using millions of tax dollars to study equity in Sudan through the gender lens, or the woman who grieves that her NIH-funded studies of the implications of transgender-affirming therapies on cancer research in third world nations is now over. Look, I could go on, but I don't have to. You know why? Because we won. That's why. Because we are the ones sitting at the adult table. The era of common sense is back, and it could not have come a moment too soon. And yeah, as nice as it was to hear Sarah Huckabee Sanders affirm 2 years ago how we felt, it's even better now that I can tell you, with deep assurance, that we have been given the authority to tell the kids at the woke table to pipe down. Y'all keep it down in there. Grown-ups are talking. And that's a wrap for the Right Side Way. Yeah, so I don't know if y'all had a kids' table. We always had a kids' table. But the reality is, the conversations were different, right? They were one thing in the kids' table room. They were another thing at the adult or grown-up table. And that's the way culture has been for the last few years. It's like the kids' table has gotten out of hand, and the grown-up table is saying, time to pipe down and eat your vegetables. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Making common sense like a superpower. All right, gonna just remind you guys. So the sponsor of the Daily Rightside Way monologue, I know him personally, Stan McDonald. So Stan McDonald is a partner at the law firm of Wilmer and Lee, a great firm up in Huntsville. And Stan is a 30-year veteran in the practice of law in North Alabama. And listen, I got to tell you, and I know this for a fact, I know it firsthand. Stan's the kind of guy, he's not only going to advocate for your legal needs, but he's been like in the mix, like a warrior for the causes and the politics that Rightside ruffians care about for years. So yeah, attorney Stan McDonald, he's represented his clients in literally thousands of real estate transactions over the years. He can represent you in any state, local, or federal court. And I'll just tell you right now, if I always say it, but if Stan McDonald's on your side, you'll have no greater friend, but likewise, your adversaries would have no greater foe. So I'm going to tell you how to reach him. If you need an attorney, it's attorney Stan McDonald at the law firm of Wilmer and Lee. He's an America First family man, and here's his phone number. Are you ready? 256-479-3020. That's Stan McDonald, 256-479-3020. And do me the favor of telling him you heard about it on Rightside Radio. And then here's the thing I got to do. No representation made. The quality of legal service being performed is great. The quality of legal service performed by the lawyers. Come on. You know.
That was good.
That was good. Okay. Text lines are open, 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. I will tell you breaking news just a little while ago. Kash Patel was confirmed to be the new director of the FBI. Wow. Just got the boom out of that one. Good job, man. So, yeah, Kash Patel is now going to be sworn in because he has gone through the process. There's a few more still to do. I don't want to call them the lesser ones, but they're the ones that don't have near as much attention, although one of them is getting some grief, and that's the Department of Labor nominee, whose name escapes me at the moment, but she has got a lot of ties to labor unions, and so Republicans are not super thrilled with her. But Kash Patel is going to come on in, and we'll see what happens. This could be fun.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
This is like Doge on steroids.
Oh yeah, I plan on going to see the Museum of the Deep State that he claims to open up at the FBI headquarters.
I was swallowing coffee right when you said that. Wow. Yeah, the Museum of the Deep State. That's hilarious. Let me get a few text messages. What do we got here? Moon Pie says, what happened? Moon Pie from Madison says, what happened to Turbo Thursday? Well, it wasn't resonating.
Yeah, it didn't fit, I don't think.
Except with Moon Pie, apparently.
Yeah, apparently Moon Pie.
Sorry, Moon Pie. But anyway, they all said and done, we may have a new sound effect coming. We need a T-Bone Thursday we talked about.
Yeah.
Who knows? Wiley from Gunnersville says, outstanding monologue, Phil. You just said out loud what's been on the minds of millions of patriotic Americans. Thank you, Wiley. Appreciate you. Appreciate that very much. Jeff Rowe from Indiana checking in says, hey, Phil, I think what we're looking for is a table at the asylum, because that's where most of these woke Democrats would be living right now 50 years ago, because sane people need to look after the insane. It's our duty to protect them from themselves and from us. Nice. Allie from Athens says, the kids' table. Mercy, Colonel, if we had acted like that, somebody would have said, go cut a switch. No doubt. Yeah, it's been a bit unruly at the kids' table here of late, wouldn't you say? Thanks, Allie. Good to hear from you. And then John from Huntsville says, Phil, spectacular monologue. Also, JP, did you hear about Tiger Woods' hilarious golf mishap at the indoor golf tournament? If you haven't, you need to check it out.
I did. I saw it. It's pretty funny. So you know how they have the first shot of each hole is on that big like animated screen, or like you see at golf places.
Okay.
So he asked the person, how far is it? And the guy goes 199. Tiger heard 99. So he grabs a wedge instead of the iron he's supposed to use, and you can hear his teammates with the mic next to him goes, is that a wedge? He goes, is that a wedge? And he hits it like way short, and the whole play is like loses it. And Tiger's like, I heard 99. It said it was one of his more embarrassing golf moments.
But you know what though? His eyes should be like a permanent rangefinder. He should be able to look at it himself and go, that does not look like 99.
Yeah, no, it was pretty. And then he says to his teammate, because they have timeouts. He goes, "You saw me grab a wedge. Why didn't he call timeout?" It was great. Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, all right. We got plenty more where that came from. Y'all stay tuned. Coming right back. The border is back, baby. The border is back. I'll tell you all about it. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. Covering down on some major ground across the southeast U.S. of A, y'all. I'm talking about this show goes from Huntsville back over to Chattanooga, from Tuscaloosa back over to Gadsden. I'm talking about all the way down to that prettiest little town on the plains called Auburn. And then, oh, yes, indeed, big old patches of Georgia and Mississippi thrown in just for good measure. Text lines are open, like I said, 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. Text it or call it, same number for both, and I'll take some of those here momentarily. I got to tell you guys real quick, so the Rightside Media merch store has gone pretty swimmingly, let's just say. Like, good Lord. We had to have a meeting today to talk about stocking back up on some things. So if you want to check it out, go to our website, rightsidemedia.org. Because Rightside Media is the parent company. Rightside Radio is just one of our productions, but we've got everything. We got coffee mugs, we got T-shirts, we got hats. We've also got my favorite, which we've sold. I'd say close to half of the highball glasses that have a embedded .308 round bullet in the side of the glass, and it says Rightside Media Bulletproof Influence. Those are selling like hotcakes. Anyway, the bottom line is this: merch is there, and more merch is coming. So we just went ahead and approved another round of T-shirts to fill in the gaps on some of our inventory we sold down, and it's because you guys are doing it. We appreciate it very much. Just get it on in, and Natalie will get it out to you. And then I'm going to take a moment of personal privilege. This is not on my Dipper list. It's just cool. And if you follow me on Twitter, you may have already seen it. Just go to @SinPhilWilliams. That's my X account. I think I may have also posted it on Facebook. I'm not sure if I did or not, but the reality is, it's on my X account. So here's the thing. Yesterday was the 80th anniversary, I believe, of the landing by the Marines on Iwo Jima, World War II. One of the deadliest battles in the Marine Corps' history. And the iconic scenes that came out of that include the flag being raised on the top of Mount Suribachi, which has now become the emblem of the Marine Corps, and there's actually the huge monument of that scenario where the men raise the flag up on the mountain above the battlefield. But yeah, the landings at Iwo Jima, my wife's grandfather was there. He was in the first wave going ashore as a Marine onto Iwo Jima. He did survive. But what's really something is, after the war, the family discovered that an official, U.S. government book was put together of combat camera images. And on the Battle of Iwo Jima, there's a picture of her grandfather dodging bullets in the black sands of Iwo Jima on the beach. And so that picture has been like a part of the family's legacy, if you will, for all these years. So last night, I'm on social media just kind of surfing. And it's the anniversary, like I said, of the invasion of Iwo Jima. And all of a sudden, there's a combat camera movie reel of what I looked at, and I realized, wait a minute, I think this is where the picture came from. And so here I am, I'm looking at a video, and I started getting out the picture of her grandfather, which is a still shot, and comparing and contrasting and looking at the lay of the land, looking at the angle of the slope down towards the water at the beach, looking at the debris on the beach in front of him, and I'm thinking, this is the same picture, but now it's a movie. And so I told her, I said, it's hard to see faces. I said, but honey, I think that's your grandfather right there on the beach at Iwo Jima, and that's amazing. So I posted that.
That's pretty dang cool.
It is. It's just, yeah.
To have not only a picture but footage of
a
family member taking part in a historic thing like that.
A major battle.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that. And the interesting thing is, I don't know that any of those pictures could have been said like, okay, this person is that person, and this person is him, and this person is him. But we know that one is Marine Patterson. And now I'm pretty sure that video is him too. And that's just so cool. So that has been downloaded. I'll just tell you right now. Check it out. It's on my Twitter feed. And we're thankful for the memory of those who went ashore. All right. Hey, listen, got plenty of stuff to talk about here. Let me get a few texts though first. We're getting some suggestions, brother.
Yeah,
So
I know.
Bobby from Huntsville wants to call it Tequila Thursday.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that one. Don't know if that one will happen.
No. Brian from Huntsville wants to call it Thunderstruck Thursday. Yeah, we can play a little AC/DC.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Roxanne from Harvest. What did you send me, Roxanne? America's about to get cashed. Nice. Cash Patel. Mark from Red Bay. Wait a minute. Hang on. James from Russellville. What do we got there? You already took care of that one. Mark from Red Bay says, I saw a commercial around Thanksgiving where a young boy around 8 or 10 asked his dad if he could sit at the adult table. But the adult conversation was not interesting to him, and he kept looking at the kids' table where they were having fun. His dad gave him the nod to go join them. Sounds like the Democrats. The kids' table conversation is more to their liking. Perfect. Thank you for getting the analogy, Mark. Jeremy from Madison said, how about Thunder Thursday? And then I can't tell the rest of it because he must have been voice texting. What is he saying there?
I don't even know.
Thunder Thursday, something the weekend. Anyway, thanks, Jeremy. Brian from Somerville says, hey, Phil, love the show. Thank you, man. Said, I'm glad to see that President Trump's cleaned the house like he said he would. You know he's doing a good job based on the reactions of the left. Yeah, you know what? That's a great point, Brian. In fact, I think yesterday or day before it was, the other night, when Elon Musk was and Trump were doing an interview with Sean Hannity, Musk said, you're over the target by the reactions that we're getting. And that's exactly right. Somebody who's new in the text lines is CG from Athens. CG from Athens says, you said common sense, exactly what we need front and center. Let's not all forget that those that wore a mask in the car by themselves. Yes, perfect. CG from Athens, glad you're in the text lines, man. Thanks for joining us. So John from Huntsville heard me say that about the camel. Mm-hmm. He says, Phil, the internet says camel meat is actually high in protein and very tasty. Just saw a picture of a very delicious camel burger and a very delicious camel steak. They say it's pretty close to beef. I think it tastes like chicken. Probably.
I feel like, no meat is bad meat. I'll eat any meat that's put in front of me pretty much.
Slow your roll there, dude. And then last one, Jamie from Pulaski. Okay, this is a long text, but it looks like I need to read this one. He says, okay. Yesterday, yes, the 80th anniversary of the amphibious landings at Iwo Jima. He said, my father, James Watson, was in the second wave to go ashore at Red Beach, just north of the east base of Mount Suribachi. Well, thank you for his service, Jamie. And then he gives me some dates and times, and it was a 35-day-long battle, 6,821 KIA, that's Americans, 19,000 wounded. 2 were missing but were recovered. All but less than 250 of the estimated 22,000 Japanese on the island were either killed or missing. The last 2 Japanese to surrender did so on January 6th of 1949, several years after the war. Yeah, nearly 4 years after the victory. Dad's platoon, he says, was loaded to an amphibious vehicle, was hit just prior to reaching the beach. In Dad's reflections prior to his death, he said the platoon had to go over the side and swim to shore. He stated that in excitement, he nearly drowned due to not releasing his ammo belt prior to going over. He did get the belt released below the surface of the water. He eventually made his way to the surface and onto the beach where he was able to gather up his gear that had been brought to shore by those who had already died. He said Dad was a radio operator, and he relayed mortar and artillery fire directed to him. Jamie, that was a worthy long text, my friend. Thank you so much for your dad's service, and we're thankful for all of them. And I wonder if he knew Charlene's granddad. All right, let me jump on in here. So, Dipper number 1, the border is back. You know what's amazing is we have to say that at all. It's kind of like saying, here's how we define a man and a woman. You're like, why are we having to say the border is back? Because we didn't have one. And I will opine, as we get started here, that if you do not control your borders, then you have to question whether you truly have a nation. Because the borders are what define the sovereign territory of a nation. The borders are where your laws extend to. The borders are what gives you some measure of control. The borders are within which you build your infrastructure and where your people live and where your language is established and the territory you own. And from time immemorial, borders, the owning of land, so to speak, has been one of the greatest factors in the rule of law, no matter where you are. Dating back to the Magna Carta, the idea that privately people could own land was a big, big deal. At the same time, nations are based upon having borders. the owning of land. You put your feet on the territory and you know you're on sovereign U.S. soil. So much so that when we go abroad and we set up an embassy, it's considered to be sovereign soil of the nation whose flag flies over that embassy. It's a big deal to say you have borders. Let no one ever say this is not that big a deal and everybody has rights and they should be bullcrap. The reality is this: if you don't control your borders, then what do you control at that point? Because the ability to actually enforce the laws of your nation extends to those who are supposed to be here legally. All these things matter when it comes to the border. And one of the very first things that establishes a country is the markings of its border. That's why, from time immemorial again, when you landed on the beach, you planted the flag of the nation to claim the soil on behalf of whoever sent you there. That's why, in part, there's a flag on the moon, because we want to stake out our ground and say we were here first. That's why we have fights and border disputes and wars, because people fight over wanting certain ground and the things that are in the ground and the things that come with the ground. And when you don't have a border, I would dare say you almost don't have a nation. I mean, do you still have laws? Certainly. Do you have cities? Yeah. But do you really have control? Because if you look back, historians say that of the factors that caused the fall of Rome, one of them was a loss of control of their borders. Mass migration of hordes of people coming across into Rome's territories, and Rome could no longer sustain itself. And that is where we almost were. But right now, I'm going to come back from this break, and I'll tell you right now, y'all, the border is back. It's like it's cool to have a border again. And it's a whole new day. Praise God. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Just pulling pins on truth grenades. That's what we're doing. Hey, I'm jumping on in here. Border is back, baby. Border is back. So something happened last night. You know what? I think something happens 24/7 at this White House. Do you? Let me ask you this, JP. Do you think we're ever going to hear out of the Trump White House the president has called a lid on his day?
No, don't think so.
Do they even know what a lid is?
Mm-mm. I mean, I'm a conservative, and I love everything they're doing, and I still can't keep up with anything. My head's spinning.
You know what? And the reality is, you and I are actually paid to keep up.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what we do.
Like, I feel like I'm very much up to date, and I still see stuff, and I'm like, when did that happen? It's crazy.
Yeah, or when you see stuff and you realize, oh yeah, he gave a speech in so-and-so city. Wait, how did he get to the White House that fast?
Mm-hmm.
And now he's doing what? And he stayed up and he was tweeting at 3 a.m. I mean, good Lord. Well, one of the things that President Donald Trump did yesterday was he signed an executive order late Wednesday night. So yeah, I think he was in Miami in the morning and then back at the White House and doing stuff and signing executive orders.
Well,
anyway,
when he went to Daytona, he had to get back to get some work done.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a Daytona trip for Biden would have knocked him out for a week.
Oh, my gosh. Anyway, President Donald Trump signed an executive order late Wednesday night. Wait for it. Ending the use of taxpayer money for federal resources supporting illegal immigration and illegal aliens. Can I have a hallelujah on this right there or something? I mean, give me one. That's worthy. Why is that controversial? I don't know, but it's going to be. I guarantee you someone's going to scream, someone's going to cry, someone's going to say, but don't you understand the cost of eggs and everything? No, listen, here's the deal. The Trump administration's executive order last night, in his words, is there to protect taxpayer resources and make sure they're used for the interest of American citizens. Wow, what a novel idea. Because y'all, get this. We have spent, as a nation, $451 billion over the last 4 years sustaining the illegal immigration cottage industry. That is just ungodly. But yes, we have spent just an epic amount of money. By the way, some of that came from FEMA. We're learning right now that FEMA spent over $1 billion of its appropriations to support illegal aliens just in the last few years. FEMA, which, never mind the fact that on Biden's watch we had the massive fires in Hawaii that no one wants to talk about for some reason. The massive fires in California, and before that, the massive damage in the Western Carolinas and East Tennessee region from Hurricane Helene. Anyway, Trump signed the executive order. The Trump administration puts it into effect, and here's what it does. Right now, this executive order, according to the story I've got here from Fox, Dateline last night, or maybe this morning, under this order, federal departments and agencies must identify and end all federally funded programs providing financial benefits to illegal aliens. It also aims to ensure federal funds are not being used to support sanctuary policies. This is huge. And I'll tell you, you think, why didn't we do this already? I think it's because they had to gather up what exactly is happening, where is money going. They had to make sure they had everything in order. Listen, if he could have signed every one of these executive orders on day one, he would have. But I think what he's doing, number one, is he's pacing them out so you can see activity spread out over time. But there's also some that he had to get in and be able to see the information firsthand. And listen, it's amazing what we're seeing right now. Now, that being said, the border is back. And part of the border immigration policy is my man, Tom Homan. We ought to have a Tom Homan sound effect just for him. I don't even know what it would be.
I don't know what it
a
would be
whip
either.
crack or something. So Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, good Lord. But J.B. Pritzker, he said, "You come from my people, you come through me." Well, apparently he calls his people illegal aliens. Tom Homan's response to that on Newsmax yesterday, according to townhall.com. No problem. Game on. I mean, what I'm hearing there is this reminds me. Okay, now see, I always do this. It's movies for me. I love. You seen Tombstone?
Yes.
You know the scene where it was one of Billy Bob Thornton's first appearances in a movie where he was the guy who had the card game, and he was just a complete bully, but he was also a fake. And Wyatt Earp goes up there and just starts smacking him in the face, just slapping him, just slapping him like a little girl, and he's sitting there, he goes, "You gonna pull that smoke wagon or just stand there and bleed?" that's Tom Homan.
Yep.
He's looking at J.B. Pritzker going, "You gonna pull that smoke wagon or just stand there and bleed?" Homan said, "Okay, game on." And then he said this. He said, "I was in Chicago in the first operation." He said, "We arrested, if I remember right, like 9 Tren de Aragua members, 2 illegal aliens convicted of murder that his state prison had released rather than calling ICE, 7 or 8 child sex predators, people that were charged and convicted of child sex crimes," he said. "So that 1 week in Chicago, which was 3 days ago," he said, "we made the streets of Chicago safer, made the streets of Illinois safer, and we're coming back." So basically what he said was, "Pritzker, I don't give a rat's hind end about you. You can go ahead and say all you want to." He just basically said, "We're coming in and we're doing it." And there you go. Now, the music's playing, so I got to take a break. When I come back, though, I'll tell you, naming the cartels as designated foreign terrorist organizations. That was broad, right? Not anymore. Now we've named them. I'll tell you all about it. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama and Tennessee's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, sometimes the international, and oh yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, we got people wanting sound effects for Tom Homan. Have you seen that on the text lines?
And it looks like some of them are saying the same one.
I know. Ken from Harvest says sound effect for Tom Homan, also from Tombstone. Tell him I'm coming, and tell him hell's coming with me. That's a great line from Tombstone, by the way. You run, you cur. Okay. Tom with all the kids from Huntsville says, play the sound effect from Rawhide for Tom Homan. I could see that. Rawhide. Francisco also same thing. Francisco says, how does the Rawhide theme? Yeah, I could see it. Harry from Madison says, boundaries are important in all areas of our lives. And this is one of my favorite quotes. It's a guy, Carl Sandburg, says, love your neighbor as yourself, but don't take down your fence. Perfect. 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 Give Harry some applause. That was worthy of special note. Thank you very much. Bobby from Huntsville says, we ought to have Tom Homan Thursday. He gets a whole day to himself. If we do that, though, then we have to have Trump Thursday. You know that.
Yeah.
It's be Trump
Tuesday.
Trump Tuesday. And Tom Homan. We'll have Tom's Thursday. Jerry from Decatur says, I can hear Charlene singing to the tune of Coal Miner's Daughter. I'm proud to be a Marine's granddaughter. Cool and airborne. Yep. Thank you so much. By the way, Charlene just texted in. I did not recall ever knowing this, but her grandfather was actually wounded on Iwo Jima. Took a round in the leg. And Purple Heart recipient. And some family members believe that the heart attack he had years later after was because of blood clots from the wound. But others say maybe not. I don't know. But bottom line is Marine Corps, wounded, Iwo Jima, and now we have pictures too. Jim from Athens says, heaven has borders and laws, if I'm reading my Bible correctly, right? Jim, you are correct, sir. You are indeed. It also allows free passage, but you still have to talk to the guy that owns the place. And then Wiley from Gunnels says, how about Turbo Tom Thursday?
He turbos them out and back to their country.
All right, so the border is back. Other things that are happening. So now we have an executive order that says stop spending the money on illegal aliens. Stop it. Stop it now. Stop it yesterday. Now we also have, oh, by the way, Tom Homan saying, I don't give a rat's hind end what J.B. Pritzker says or any other sanctuary city or sanctuary governor leader. I'm coming. In fact, I love this. He talked about all the arrests they made in Illinois, despite the fact that Governor Pritzker doesn't want them to. And the last thing he says is, we made the streets of Illinois safer, and we're coming back. In other words, I'm not done yet. Now, Trump also, you may recall, labeled cartels, the drug cartels, foreign terrorist organizations. That's a whole new day. But at first what he did was he said, I am hereby directing. Now we have names. So Secretary of State Rubio, story here on Red State, came out last night. Secretary of State Rubio has now designated 8 Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. It's official. Tren de Aragua. So Tren de Aragua, you want another one of those Colorado apartment complexes, guess what? We can put a JDAM missile right in the middle of it. You are indeed a foreign terrorist organization now. Tren de Aragua. You got the Mara Salvatrucha, which is known as MS-13. You got the Cartel de Sinaloa. You got the Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generación, which is the new generation of cartels of Jalisco. You got the Carteles Unidos. You got the Cartel de Noreste. You got the Cartel de Golfo. And you got La Nueva Familia Michoacana. Those are all the top drug cartels. Why is that significant? Because you can now seize assets. You can now take direct action if you have to, direct action being the military term for kill them if you have to. We can, according to U.S. Northern Command, like 1/3 of Mexico is under direct cartel controls. And it's pervasive throughout the country and the government. So does it mean we're going to invade? Not necessarily. No, it doesn't. What it means is we can supply direct military aid to the Mexican government, though. What it means is that we can seize foreign assets if they are in banks. What it means is we can put sanctions on countries that deal with the cartels. And what it means is we can do offshore seizures as they try to get their stuff inside the country to make the drugs they ship across our borders. We can do all of that now because we have an entirely different designation that creates new openings for the executive branch within the U.S. government to act. And that's huge. This should have been done a long time ago. That is huge. I mean, I wish Trump had done this in his first term. That's how big this is. Anyway, while not openly expressing the allowance of military action, it points out that this is a serious step forward, and it also is something designed to push the cartels back. They're on their heels. New York Times is trying to say that, cartels as terrorists could hurt us economically and diplomatically. It's hurting us already. Here's the question I have for the libs who say, we can't do this. This might like poison the well. What well? The well is already poisoned. They are killing hundreds of thousands of people wantonly. They are flaunting our laws. They are committing absolute crimes against humanity. Why would we not do this? I don't know that we'll launch any missiles. I don't know that you'll see airstrikes on a drug lab in the jungles. I don't know that you're going to ever see a SEAL Team 6 going in and taking out a target, but they can now if they want to. They can. And you know what? The cartels are now officially on notice. You're not just lawbreakers. Now you're enemies of the state. That felt good to say that, to be honest. The Pentagon has also announced, by the way, this is also new. Fox News, Dateline, yesterday. I'm telling you, y'all, I go out there and gather all this stuff up so you don't have to. Fox News reports that the Pentagon has now announced it's going to be doing coordinated patrols with Mexican military on both sides of the border. Interesting. Very interesting. Says the announcement was published by the U.S. Department of Defense on Wednesday, noting that U.S. Northern Command General Gregory M. Gillett and Mexican General Ricardo Trevilla Trejo recently met to discuss cooperation on security along the Mexican-U.S. border. So the bottom line is they've agreed to what they call coordinated patrols. Now, what I don't know is, does that mean they're going to be patrolling together? Or does that mean they're going to know where they are and where we are, and we're going to have coordinated efforts to patrol both sides of the waters of the Rio Grande? I don't know. But this has never happened before either. We've had coordinated efforts like where we can pick up the phone and call them, but we've never had military-to-military leadership effort to coordinate our work and even work in conjunction. And you may recall, too, there was that story that came out yesterday, day before yesterday, that said that U.S. Special Operations troops, Green Berets from 7th Group, are going to be helping to train Mexican Marines. Mexican Marines are one of their more elite forces. There's a dynamic of this that goes beyond just the fact that we're doing it, all right? There's a dynamic to this that is way beyond just presence. And presence means something. I mean, there were times we patrolled in Baghdad and we just called it presence patrols. We could be seen and the enemy knew we were there. It was purely a point of reassuring the public and letting the enemy know that we're not scared to walk these streets. But that being said, there's a lot to this coordinated effort with the Mexican government, because what it also does is the Mexican military, which is oftentimes beleaguered. I mean, notice how when you see them, a lot of times they're wearing balaclavas. That's because they do so at risk to them and their own family's life, because the cartels will come and behead them. And yet we're looking right now at a Mexican military that now has their big cousin across the border saying, we got your back. We're there. We're going to do stuff with you. We'll give you training. We'll give you resources. You got to help us out, but we're going to be there for you. And if the cartels start striking at Mexican military units, stand back and watch and see whether or not suddenly they have air support, or whether they have some kind of medevac capability, or whether they have ammunition they didn't have before. You watch. Because what this did is open up an entire new phase of the border being back. It's huge. By the way, I will say this. Maybe in the midst of all of that, the money, the military, the State Department designations, the things that we're doing policy-wise to round up illegal immigrants and ship them back. There's the one thing that I think is the most significant. The border is back. Story here from the Daily Signal 2 days ago. The White House has now touted a 36% decline in border apprehensions. It's the lowest number of illegal aliens in almost 5 years, and they're on track right now to hit a 50-year low. A 50-year low. Y'all, it's like a brand new day. It's only been 30 days, and look at what's happened.
I'll say this too about the cartels. You know how we have self-deportations of people leaving the country on their own accord, like just from the fact that they know there's a crackdown. I wonder how many cartel members will put in their letters of resignation after knowing that they're now enemies of the U.S. state. Because you don't want to be on that list.
Well, I don't know, but the guys who run the cartels, who get the billions of dollars out of the drug sales and the human trafficking, they won't.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of their manpower might, or maybe not a lot, but some of their manpower might, And
it'd be one of those things, too, where it'll be just, and you know what else is going to have to happen? There's going to have to be some success in this for that to really take effect.
That's true.
Right now, it's a thing. What just happened? The Americans, what will they do? I don't know. But the first time something big happens that shows that the Mexican and American governments are coordinating their efforts, and they just basically crush something. And I think they do. I think they have to crush something. I think they have to go in and literally blow something up and make it known that we did that and we did it together. And then I believe you'll start seeing some of the cartels' manpower fade off, because I have to go see my cousin in South Mexico. You will excuse me, please. And they're, Mm-hmm. All right, take me to a break, JP. We'll take the break. We'll come right back. I'll close this out. The border is back, baby. How good is that? Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. Man. Covering down on some major ground as we bring common sense to the forefront, baby. All right, so I'm in this Dipper. Border is back. And I got a call on line one. Is that Allie? Allie from Athens. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, Coach, put me in. You are talking about an answer to prayer that we started beginning in 1998, and I will explain. For listeners who do not know, my husband Steve and I lived in the middle of the cartel, the Cida Juarez cartel, at an orphanage, and we started school there. So everything that you are talking about, we witnessed personally.
Yeah.
There was an outfit that was called Border Prayer. It was the Border Prayer Network, and the missionaries were involved in it. And I mean, this was before I went to Iraq. That it seemed like common sense to have folk involved. But what needs to be understood is that the federales, the National Guard, the local police, everybody was in bed with the cartel. And so the chances of getting anything done were rather slim. But I find it wonderfully ironic that it only took 72 hours to get those boys there after our president said, okay, well, we'll just slap you with some tariffs. And then all of a sudden, that which seemed impossible was no longer impossible. So I am a glad girl. And I wanted to say one thing about joint operations. It wasn't technically military, but there was a joint operation. It was the first one of its kind between our FBI and the Mexican equivalent in the late 90s, because there was a cartel ranch about 15 clicks away from our orphanage, and they exhumed 22 bodies from there. So just want to say, Colonel, when we drove by there, we did not pay attention to any speed limit. And so they actually had our FBI go and help them. But since then, to my knowledge, no. And I wrote a piece about it, my soldier piece, that I'm out and about getting out. And this was the thing that just made me go nuts. In last year alone, 21,000 pounds of fentanyl were seized, and that is enough by official estimation to kill 4 billion with a B people.
Yeah.
Do not talk to me about some little abuelita who wants to have an ironing business on the El Paso side. This is not that. This is saving our nation and maybe the world, and I am one glad girl.
Perfect. Yes, indeed. And I'd forgotten about that that cartel ranch you said was close to the orphanage where you worked, and all the body. You told me that once about all the bodies they exhumed there, and they had beheadings and all that kind of stuff in your area too, didn't they?
Yes, and see, the other thing that was going on is that Cida Juarez is the site of the largest unsolved serial murder case of women in the history of the planet. It's like over 1,000.
Wow. We
lost neighbors to the cartel. I mean, this is evil like people cannot begin to imagine.
Wow.
And it's so, it makes me want to cry, sir, quite frankly. This is an answer to prayer.
Well, I hope it's an answer of prayer for the let me ask you this real quick, Allie, with about a minute left. How do you think this designation is being received by the average Mexican citizen right now? Are they excited, or are they sitting there worried this is going to cause a problem?
I don't think that they will expect retaliation because of the fact that you don't have snitches involved here.
Yeah.
This is an operation that is next level. So it's not the same as if you don't do what we say, we will take your head off or your kid's head off or whatever. It's been stepped up. So my guess is that people, and it's a guess, but my guess is that people who have been cowering for decades are, it's like the Bible says, when the righteous perish, the people rejoice.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that that's what's going to happen. It will get messy. And this is another thing, too, that I said in my piece.
I got about 10 seconds left.
We got to pray. Okay, we got to pray. The cartel is vicious, so they're not going to take it sitting down. Thank you, sir, for putting me in.
Thank you, Allie. Love you. See you. Wow, that's great firsthand information right there. And I've been wondering how the Mexican citizens might feel about it, but and she's right. There's no snitches involved. So there's no chance of getting in trouble with the cartels because you. So I think this is hopefully going to be a good thing. I will say this though, a story I didn't even get to on Fox, as I go to the break, says that Sinaloa cartel is here in the United States with all its logistics centers set up in neighborhoods all over the nation. So yeah, we're gonna see stuff happen, and I think it's gonna have an impact. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio, coming up next. Butters and Lee. out there. You are listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. Conservative and just plain right. Just covering down on some major ground across the southeast U.S. of A. Y'all, I'm talking about this show. Woo, goes from Huntsville back over to Chattanooga, from Tuscaloosa back over to Gadsden. I'm talking about all the way down to that prettiest little town on the plains called Auburn. And yes, even big old patches of Georgia and Mississippi thrown in just for good measure. All right, listen, we got one of my favorite times of the week right in front of us right now. This is where I bring in some folks who are just always doing stuff that makes us better. We do a segment we like to call Butters and Lee. So I'm going to call the roll first and make sure they're there. With the silky smooth voice coming in by Clean Feed, would that be the Butterman? Are you there?
I am here, sir.
You are indeed. All right, man. And then calling in from the Great White North up in Huntsville, where apparently it snows, even though we don't get it down here, the illustrious, never to be taken, underestimated Lee from Huntsville. Are you there?
I am here, and there's still some snow on the ground.
I know. You guys got it. You live down in southeast Huntsville, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So you got snow in the southeast, not just on Montesano. You got it down yonder in southeast Huntsville too, right?
Yep, sure did.
Awesome.
And the kids got a day off of school, so they were excited.
Well, even more awesome. All right. Well, that means I pronounce a round of Butters and Lee. All right, guys, you know the deal. I ask questions, and then come the break, we flip the script, and y'all ask me questions. So here's my first question. So the Trump team is like really in full swing right now. I mean, even calling it shock and awe. I called it shock and awe on Rightside Radio, and even the other, I think today at CPAC, Vice President Vance called it the exact same thing, shock and awe. So of all the things that are being done, I mean, it's everything. It's DOGE, it's energy, it's immigration, it's the economy, it's, downsizing of government, it's the military, you name it. What is your favorite and why? Butters, you first. What is your favorite thing of all the shock and awe right now?
Hands down, no questions, no argument. Doge. And the work they are doing. Are you kidding me? Look.
Well, wait, we got a sound effect for you. Let me do that real quick. Let's go ahead and just do it. Hit him with the sound effect. Doge. All right, that's just for you. All right.
Nice.
Keep talking.
Nice. No, Doge is the inefficiencies, the finding the money. Look, at the end of the day, that's what makes a capitalist market work. The money moving around, it just does such a great job of clarifying just how broken everything is, and there's no arguing with it. It's just dollars and cents.
It is. It's also it's heartening to see it. It's also disheartening to see how much is there. It's like, good Lord.
Oh yeah. And
they spend it on what? Just throwing money down a rat hole is what they've been doing for the last God knows how long. All right, so that's your favorite. Your favorite is Doge. All right, out of everything going on up yonder in D.C. with the Trump team shock and awe, Lee, what is your favorite and why?
I mean, while I love what Doge is doing, it's fantastical. It's like the news is coming so fast, it's like a fire hose.
Yeah.
But I have to say immigration, because not only have things slowed to a trickle at the border, which is important, they're removing dangerous illegal aliens who've committed crimes, which is absolutely have to. We have, got enough problems with our own people committing crimes. We can't have other countries' people committing crimes.
Yes.
As well as the most important thing is we have to stop the import of children into our country for devious purposes. This child slave trade that they have going on has to be stopped and then dismantled, and these children need to be returned to their families or, taken care of somehow. We owe it to them. They can't control what other people are doing to them, and they're the most important aspect. And I think if we do all of this, the long-term savings is going to eclipse what Doge is doing. But also, I have to think of, children, a whole generation of what's happened to them.
Yeah, I completely agree. Who was it? I think it might have been Lindsey Graham, who, I'm on again, off again in terms of being a fan of Lindsey
Ugh.
Graham. But that being said, he the other day, he actually got to the point of being emotional, talking about how many kids have disappeared in the cross borders, illegal immigration under the Biden administration. He said, "Where are they? Where are these 300,000 children?" And it was choking him up trying to talk about it. And
Well,
that's one of the things we've got to find those kids.
so I definitely, I won't argue the border side of things, but I'll say I think the thing that Doge is doing is highlighting how manipulated and how, where all this money's getting spent on not just the border, everything, and creating false narratives and making it so much harder. I think it's making it so much clearer to understand the problems to then allow us go in and fix them that much more, effectively, hopefully long term.
I see that.
You can see how we're funding our own demise. We're funding the NGOs both in the country and out of the country, and the NGOs in turn are pumping, illegal aliens from other countries into our country. We're literally paying them to damage us and to damage these children, and so they're hand in hand, truly.
It is.
It is definitely difficult to actually pick a truly favorite thing that's going on right now. It's just,
and that's where I'm at right now. I mean, I talk about this stuff every day, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, not to mention the podcast and the written stuff we do and all of it. But I have a hard time picking, because I'll sit there and go, the border, that's mine, because sovereignty of your own soil is paramount. And then I'll find myself going, illegal immigration in general, getting them out of the country. Doge, man, I'm loving the fact that we're fiscally responsible now. Oh, wait, boom, the military. I love that too. It is hard to find it. I tell you what, I'm gonna go the umbrella version here. I'm gonna say I just love the fact there's shock and awe. I love the fact that there is not any waiting around for things to happen. They're not, just sort of tenderfooting their way through the processes and forming a study commission to find out what people like and don't like. They're just like, they're blistering people right now, and the Democrats are completely on their heels. I love that the most, I think.
He had to do it. He had to overwhelm, because if he didn't, they were coming for him so fast and so hard. He had to overwhelm. It was necessary for for their survival.
Well, right now, don't the Democrats look like a bunch of clowns? I mean, they are literally just
Don't they always?
They're jackwagons. They're I mean, they're out there doing interpretive dance and and it just like, what is happening right now? You guys are like an episode of Zootopia or something. I don't know what is going on.
It's a collective loss of their mind.
Yeah, it's Portlandia. It's the Hunger Games. It's crazy. All right, next question before we run out of time. So, just real quick, are we really at odds with Canada? Tonight's the hockey game, second round of the international games between Canada and the U.S. Are we really at odds with Canada? You first, Lee.
We're at odds with parts of the Canadian government. We're not at odds with the Canadian people. Look at how many people supported the truckers when they were fighting against the tyranny of Canada's government, Trudeau. I mean, we don't fight against the people. Some of it spills over, I guess, but hockey's always a good fight. I mean, I like watching hockey fights, but I'm saying no, we're not, but we are against most of the Canadian government and Trudeau. I wish he would hurry up and leave. But yeah, I mean, once we get this trade figured out, in balance, we'll be okay.
So I mean, but it's not the government that booed our national anthem from the crowds. That was
because they're pushing that. They're basically, Canada's crap talking us to everyone, and some people are listening. But I think they need to remember how much we supported the truckers and how much we supported, the average Canadian.
Okay, Butterman, what do you think? Are we at odds with Canada?
I don't. I think it's a bigger question. I think we've got a global issue going on, and it's not so much an odds of the U.S. versus Canada. It's odds of this woke left all of these this garbage going on, including in Europe, and what we're seeing with Vice President Vance going over to Europe and the speeches he's given over there. The crowd booing. I think even you see some of the leadership. It's kind of one of those. Well, we are kind of being attacked, so we're going to stand up and speak big against the U.S. But then I think it's a lot bigger than that. So I don't think we're really at odds. Certainly, we're clearly at odds with a lot of folks, just like we're at odds with people on the left in America. And I think there's a movement going, and it's pretty cool to watch.
Well, I think it is pretty cool to watch, and I still, right now, still one of my favorite foreign politicians is Pierre Poilievre from Canada.
Oh yeah,
that guy. I mean, every time he opens his mouth, it cracks me up. But
my brother-in-law is actually Canadian.
Oh yeah.
So I can very much say we are not at odds with him, and he is cheering this thing on. So.
Oh, awesome. That's good to hear. All right, listen, that's round one with Butters and Lee. We come right back and flip the script. This is where they ask me questions, and I just kind of wait with bated breath to see what's coming. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Man, making common sense like a superpower. All right, going right back to Butters and Lee. This is the part of the segment where we flip the script and I wait to see what questions they have of moi. So I'm going to go with ladies first. Lee, what do you think? What question you got for me?
Well, I've been looking more into bird flu because there's such a drip of stories about it over the past few years.
Yeah.
It just feels like something's coming. But as I really started investigating it, I discovered in 2019 the U.S. gave the go-ahead for them to do the same sort of testing that they did with gain of function, and improving, quote, improving the virus. I mean, I don't think it's an improvement, but so they were working to see if they could get it to where it was transmissible in humans. And there was actually a lab leak in 2019. There's articles about it, just no one seems to read them. And are you concerned about a similar leak with this has happened to kind of get another pandemic started? I mean, or do you think that this is just organic?
Are you talking about a leak of a manipulated version of avian flu, or are you talking about it just getting widespread in the usual sense?
I'm saying an enhanced version because it's really not communicable to humans in its lowest form.
So I would always, well, first of all, I would always be concerned, especially after what we just went through with COVID. If there's a gain of function research going on with regards anything that has deadly or that at least debilitating consequences for humans, and it gets out, of course I'd be concerned. And I have a real problem with. I mean, I understand what they say. Some say gain of function is necessary because that way we can tell what terrorists might be able to do to us. Well, why are you the one building the thing that terrorists might use? I don't get it. So it's a back and forth conversation. But here's the thing. Avian flu is not new. It has been around. And the idea that we're going to distort it and see what else we can do to make something out of it, there's almost no way that works out well. You know what I mean? And next thing you know, we got the thing.
Up to a 50% fatality rate.
Yeah.
The worst one they've created.
So your question directly was, are you concerned about it? Yes, especially in the wake of COVID. And then secondly, I'm also concerned about it because I am going to be, like most of America, like much of the world, going to be leery from now on of people who suddenly have a vaccine for the thing that suddenly impacted our society. And so I will be very suspicious of any corporation in the pharma world that comes out and says, hey, that thing that just got out of a lab, don't worry, we got you covered. I don't see me taking many more shots in my lifetime, just so you know.
I do think there's something to them making it worse and playing off the playbook of getting rid of a bunch of the chickens to drive the cost of eggs up.
Well, there's that too.
I wouldn't be shocked if there was something there.
Yeah, and that's also
that started rolling out before the election.
Think about how much chicken and eggs mean to the economy. It's an amazingly large section. There's not a recipe out there you can find that doesn't have eggs. People eat chicken as a main staple on a daily basis everywhere. And then just in Alabama alone, poultry is a $1 billion industry in this state alone.
And it's spreading now to cattle, and then they're going to start having to slaughter giant herds of cattle. What's that going to do to the cost of beef? And you have to wonder, well, why did the cows get it? Well, because they're feeding them ground up chicken, actual chicken, just ground up.
All right, I got to go to Butters for a question for you. But yes, to answer your question, I'm leery, very leery. Butterman, what question you got for me?
All right, so a little quote here. So today, admittedly a little tardy, I give Donald Trump my enthusiastic endorsement. Senator Rand Paul made a post on X the other day. What are your thoughts on him coming out and doing this?
That's a bit lame.
What's that about?
That's a bit lame to couch it in terms of an endorsement. Endorsements are designed to promote somebody in a time of need. Like, hey, I'm backing this guy. Well, how about this? Just say, and I think he did. He said, I was wrong. I think he literally said the words, I was wrong. But you know what? Just lead off with that. Say, I got to tell you, I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm enjoying everything I'm seeing thus far. I was wrong. But to say it as, I hereby offer my endorsement. I mean, come on, Senator Paul. You're
Well,
better than that.
yeah, I think maybe a little gooberish, but one thing that as I read it, I look at that contrasted to Bernie Sanders, because he actually says in it that, well, a lot of the cabinet are people that I would have supported anyways. It seems like that's something that we probably should have heard out of Bernie Sanders as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's to me, it
Not
felt,
going to happen.
man, really, it felt opportunistic. It felt like the too little, too late thing, if you want to couch it as an endorsement. If you wanted to say, I enjoy what I'm seeing and I intend to work with the president and let's get her done, Mr. President, you and I, we can make this work. I think, but it just feels like somebody's sucking up now at this point. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to get his dad in that position with the Doge crew. I don't know, but I just look at it and go, wow, this is not the terminology you need to be using for your full-throated endorsement 4 months after the election. Anyway, but any further thoughts on that one, Butters or Lee? No,
I agree.
okay. Silence.
I think there is an authenticity. Maybe the execution was a bit lame.
I would agree with
I
that.
don't know
Okay.
that you could really accuse Rand Paul of just being a sheep and a follower. He kind of spends a good bit of his time out on his
own island.
yeah. So I don't know. Poorly executed, maybe. Very good points on. Yeah, you probably didn't need to say you're endorsing him. Just going, wow, I was wrong. This is pretty cool.
Well, we shall see. But in the meantime, we are about out of time. So, Butters and Lee, I appreciate both of you. Butters, you have an amazing weekend. Lee, you have your own amazing weekend. I just happen to know Butters has some big plans. So anyway, amazing weekend for both of you. And love you both. Thank you very much. Butters and Lee. All right. By the way, I love the fact that we have so many personalities that participate in this show. You know it? It just rounds it all out. Because yeah, I mean, I get on here and resource the show and do my monologues and talk for 3 hours. But the reality is I got awesome people that surround the whole thing. All right, Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. Hour number 3 coming up.
You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama and Tennessee syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios, man. We got the local, the state, the national, covering down on all the issues. And, oh yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, hey, I got to tell you, I'm going to do some text messages here momentarily. 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. Text it or call it. Same number for both. Give me your input on what we talked about so far. I will tell you some breaking news out of Israel. There are apparently terror attacks rocking Israel is the headline on Fox right now. 3 buses reportedly exploded. Now, what I don't know is were these buses filled with people? And I'm looking right now. It does appear that no one was injured. So these bombs, I think the buses may have reportedly been still parked in their holding lots, and maybe they went off prematurely. I don't know. But it says that 3 public buses all exploded on Thursday night around 8:30 p.m. as they sat at a bus depot in a city called Bat Yam, just south of Tel Aviv. The buses were empty at the time. That's what it sounds like. It sounds to me like the buses were prepared for a devastating explosion. And who knows, maybe they were even, maybe they forgot to set it for AM versus PM. I don't know. But the reality is, praise God, nobody was hurt, but it was a significant explosion. And these buses are gutted. I saw a picture of one of them. It says also 2 other explosive devices were found under other buses after the police and the Shin Bet, that's Israel's security service, asked drivers to stop the buses and check for their devices. Oh, so they found them on others. Wow. Wow. Okay, that's going on right now in Israel. That story popped up in the last 30 minutes. I'll also tell you, you got to check out stuff that's happening with Rightside. So just a lot of activity. It's just almost to the point of getting crazy sometimes. But we are really growing. Rightside Media is the parent company. Rightside Radio is just one aspect of what we do. So Rightside Radio, sure, 5 days a week, 3 hours a day. All you Rightside ruffians have helped make this what it is. But then because it was, gaining such notoriety, we started doing podcast lines. And we've got now 5 podcasts that come out, staggered out throughout the week. Emily Jones from Moms for Liberty does hers called The Controversial Mom. JP has one that just started last week, or this week actually, related to sports, and it's called Out of Right Field. I've got one that comes out on Wednesdays called The Right Philosophy. We've got one with former Navy SEAL Jared Hudson called The Liberty Minute. And then we've got one with Birdman called Right Click that works with tech and gaming. Every single one of those is what I would call conservative commentary, but it's using the medium that person has a passion for. So check them out. They're all on our website. I'm loving the fact that we've got these, and we've got tons of stuff on our YouTube page right now that takes shorts out of some of those and puts them up. Like these are like 30 minute or more in length, and then the shorts, JP makes all those and gives you taste of what's in the bigger videos. Anyways, it's cool that we're doing this. I did not see this coming in my life. If you had asked me 5 years ago would I be doing this, I'd have looked at you like you were smoking something heavy. But here we are. So all good. Check it out. RightSideMedia.org's got all our stuff. And by the way, do this for me if you would, please. It would mean a lot to us. As a growing company, all the platforms that we're on, whether it be social media, YouTube, Rumble, all of them, if you hit follow or subscribe, which doesn't cost anything, it actually helps us. Those platforms allow us to do more. And so it would mean the world to us if you would go to YouTube or go to X or go to Facebook and hit subscribe or follow or like or whatever the case may be, because then we are allowed to do more as we grow. And anyway, thank you very much. Text messages. Bert from Owens Crossroads. Hey, Bert. He says the whack-a-mole game continues. Now that the land border is shutting down, my brethren at Customs and Border Patrol Marine are seeing a big increase in boat smuggling. Yeah, Bert, I saw a story that I think I've got it in my stack over here. Coast Guard just interdicted a an offshore vessel coming into the San Diego area that had something like 13 migrants. It was a mix of Chinese and Mexican on it. And that's becoming far more regular. And yes, they'll try to find their ways. We're going to find their tunnels. We're going to shut down their border crossing areas. And then they'll find their new ways, and we'll shut those down too. The next thing I think we're going to have to work on is drones. I mean, they're flying bundles of drugs over on drones and just dropping them off and flying back. It's unbelievable. Jamie from Pulaski is talking about the Marine Corps Iwo Jima thing again. He says, if your father-in-law was in the 5th Marine Division, I have my dad's Iwo Jima yearbook. Say it over the air and I'll look him up. Well, I won't say it over the air. I did say earlier his last name was Patterson, so I don't recall if he was in 5th Marine or not. But there's another family member that could tell me the unit number. But yeah, last name Patterson. Paul from Decatur says, hey, Colonel, Paul in Decatur, on the 80th anniversary of Iwo Jima, look up actor Lee Marvin in the Marines. Landed on several of the islands in the Pacific. Lee got shot in the backside. Yeah, he did. So Lee Marvin, yes, he was a Marine. I know Battle of Saipan, I think Guadalcanal. I think he participated in 5 amphibious landings. Yeah, he was the heat. Got a Purple Heart. Jeff Rowe from Indiana, he sends us a link. Oh, that's pretty good. He said we ought to use for Tom Homan's song, it's Supertramp's Goodbye Stranger.
Now we got so many good options, I don't know which one to choose.
I know, it's great.
We have to take a vote.
Steve from Huntsville says, Colonel, with Patel getting confirmed, do you think they'll actually release the list? Which one?
I think
you want the Diddy list or the Epstein
about.
list?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about both? Can we do both? Let's do the Diddy list, the Epstein list, and then while we're at it, why don't we do the list of Congress people who have had to have their sexual misconduct paid for by taxpayer dollars?
I think the Epstein list has a lot more high-ranking officials on it than the Diddy one. I think the Diddy one. I mean, not saying that, you know.
I think Diddy would rock
both.
the entertainment world.
Yes.
And I think Epstein would rock the world in general.
Yeah, I would agree. That's what I was trying to say there.
There's a reason why that hadn't come out yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but you know, he committed suicide. Certainly, that's what happened.
Wink, wink.
Like wink, wink, nod, nod. Matt from Madison says, question for you. What do you prefer? Mr. Williams, Colonel Williams, Senator Williams, or just plain Phil? Just plain Phil's fine. Or you can call me the Right Reverend Colonel Senator.
Head ruffian.
Yeah, I'm the head ruffian on the website. Nah, just right now, I'm just plain Phil. Thanks, Matt. Alex from Elkmont. Phil, do you think the Doge committee heads would the Doge committee heads would explode if they were here during COVID? What's he saying to me?
He's saying, what do you think the Doge's reaction would be if they were there during COVID? As in, what do you think the reaction would be if they saw where all the money was going during COVID?
Oh, now I get what you're saying. I mean, first of all, I think their heads would explode, but I think they also wouldn't have spent as much stuff, throwing such money at, the states and, all the various ARPA funds and everything else that they just like flooded the economy with. Free money. Everybody stay home. We'll pay you more to stay home. Well, unless you're like the business owner, and then good luck. We're going to shut you down and call you non-essential. So, yeah. Brian from Huntsville says, bird flu? Sounds like Tyson Thursday. Oh, see? We can't do that. No, can't do that. Can't do that at all. All right, listen. We are about to take a break here momentarily. When we come back, I'm trying to decide if I'm going to jump into Transmania or just jump right into my woke words segment, because y'all, the woke glossary is like epic fun. It's also just ridiculous. You look at the way we just let our language get co-opted by the left, and it's not good. All right, JP, take me to a break, man. We're gonna take it to the break. We'll come right back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. You guys stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right, just pulling pins on truth grenades. That's what we're doing. I tell you what, I've got some text messages and things, but I got a call on the line. Let me grab it real quick. It's Joe from San Diego. Joe, how are you?
Yeah, good. I'm actually living in Harvest
Okay.
in Alabama. I worked and lived in San Diego for 40 years and I retired. I moved here. I used to go get my wife a Charger shirt, jersey, and I looked to see who made this. It was made in Vietnam.
Okay.
So I put it back on the hanger and I said, I will not buy that. My guys died over there. So I wouldn't buy it. And the other thing people don't understand is they built them a stadium for the baseball team. All that steel was not American steel. It came from China, and I just got to the point where I wouldn't go to the ball game anymore.
Wow.
Because we keep buying from everybody, and nobody buys from us.
Fair enough. Hey, let me ask you this. What brought you to Alabama as compared to staying out in California?
Cost of living in San Diego is totally outrageous.
Yeah.
My first house I bought in 1980 was $62,900. It now sells for $800,000.
Yeah, I believe it. So we've got some friends that live here in the Gadsden area where the studio is that are from San Diego. They moved here just about 10 years ago. No, about 7 or 8 years ago. And they said that the two reasons why they packed up and left San Diego was cost of living and freedom.
Yes, it's unbelievable. I still have my best friends there. We can't go back yet because my sister-in-law has dementia, and we're just staying here for her. So it's totally crazy in San Diego.
Well, Joe, glad you're in Alabama where life is better. But thank you for your time, and thanks for the call, man.
You're welcome. Have a good
take
day.
Care. You too. Couple of quick text messages. Paul in Decatur says here's your he gives my new title. What is that? The HRRIC, the head right side ruffian in charge. Okay, not the other title that U.S. military is used to saying. Yes.
So head right side ruffian can mean head ruffian that's not in charge. I wonder how that works.
Head ruffian that's not in charge?
Yeah. So he said he made sure to put the in charge part in there. I wonder how you could be a head ruffian but not in charge.
I don't know. But you know what? It means you got insurrectionist ruffians around you. I got a new texter in the line that I don't know. Let's see what we got here. You got to tell us who you are and where you're from. So thank you for that. Area code 931, apparently. He said, I'd like to know your thoughts on the idea of Trump and Musk's if Doge finds $2 trillion in savings, 20% or $5,000 per would go to American families. A person says, I think it's, I can't read, there's a misprint there, but it ought to go towards paying down the debt. I also wonder what the other 60% in addition to the 20% they're going to use pay down the, anyway, bottom line is what you're saying is, do you want to see Americans get a cash refund back or do you want to see us pay down debt? You know what, $2 trillion, at this point, it's money not in our pockets. Some of that $2 trillion is going to be money that was incurred by debt. So I would suggest put it on the debt. That's me. I'm sure there's a lot of folks who'd like to get $5,000 in the mail. But here's what would happen. Some of those people would just, not get it. It'd get lost in the mail. There'd be some fraud as to who got it. It'd be mailed out to the wrong people. I say this, if you can take it and apply it directly to the debt, that's my first choice. We got to start knocking that debt down in a measurable fashion, by the way. Knock that debt down.
I don't know. 22-year-old Justin wouldn't turn down $5,000.
JP's looking for the money. It's all about the Benjamins. Yeah. Hey, listen, I think I'm gonna wind up skipping this Transmania section, but I gotta say this. One of the things that's really interesting to me, and this is like a mini dipper for 3 minutes, right? So Trump issued his executive order. His executive order said, you will stop allowing guys to play in girl sports. You will stop. No more of this dudes pretending your chicks hanging out in the locker room and, no more. I mean, Alabama, Governor Ivey just signed the What is a Woman Act last week. The shame we have to do it, but in her words, if the good Lord made you a boy, you're a boy. And so she signed the bill that was passed by the legislature just this past week. But that being said, not all states are on board. Watch what happens. This is going to be, I don't want to call it a red line. This is going to be one of Trump's tests, is when the liberal states push back, is he going to be able to maintain his "I'm not sending you any funds" threat? Because he said right now, you will not get funds. And I know for a fact, because we complained about the libs doing it, when they tried to redefine gender in the opposite direction, by reimagining Title IX. One of the things they threatened to do through the Department of Education and the USDA was cut off school funding to include what's known as the free and reduced lunch program. In other words, funds for kids who are poor to get meals at school. And I thought that was the most asinine thing I'd ever heard. You watch. This is what's going to happen. You're going to have to cut off funds that make people feel the pain. In the meantime, these states are pushing back. At least some of them are. California. Story here on the Federalist. State basketball tournaments are underway around the country. President Donald Trump's recent executive order is supposed to keep boys out of girls' sports, but California's defiance will enable the rich, beautiful people of one school to unfairly dominate Christians from a small school in the playoffs this Saturday. So basically, you've got the San Francisco Waldorf School. It's a mostly white and Asian school. That's their demographic, and they are looking right now at being at a complete disadvantage because a major, large-scale, interscholastic athletic program at a big school is still all in on the transgenderism and sports thing, and they're bringing boys to play in the girls' finals. You watch. This is going to wind up being this is a test, and I look forward to seeing how it gets handled. If they haven't figured out yet that Trump is serious on when he says it, he means it. I have yet to see him back off of something and just like not follow through. I've seen him moderate his stance on a couple of times, but the reality is, generally speaking, when Trump says this is how it's going to be, and he's already signed an executive order, by the way, that means that's how it's going to be. So what's California going to do when the money dries up? What's California going to do when they can't buy new textbooks for the school? What's California going to do when they've got, and then what are we going to do, by the way, when some of those funds may go to free and reduced lunches for poor kids? I do think Trump's going to have to find a way around that. You can't just basically take food out of people's mouths and use children as the pawn. At the same time, libs have been using children as pawns for years, especially in this transgender thing. It's a fine line, y'all. Keep an eye on that story. We'll track it with you. In the meantime, we're going to come back and talk about woke words. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, all you Rightside ruffians out there, you are listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Man, covering down on some major ground across the southeast U.S. of A. Y'all, I'm talking about this show. Goes like from Huntsville back on over to Chattanooga. I'm talking about from Tuscaloosa back on over to Gadsden. I'm talking about all the way down to that prettiest little town on the plains we call Auburn. And oh, yes, indeedy, big old patches of Georgia and Mississippi also thrown in just for good measure. All right, so I'm gonna call an audible. I just kind of dabbled into the transmania thing that I'm not going to go into in great detail because I'm going to go ahead and call it straight to Dipper number 3. We're going to woke words. So this was inspired by this morning. I realized that Lake Superior State University. What? Yeah, Lake Superior State University. Came out with its 2025 edition of the Banished Words List. It's a tongue-in-cheek thing they do, and I kind of enjoy it. But it's basically they take submissions all year long from other nations, even the English-speaking nations especially. They've been doing this since 1976, so it's not like it's a new woke thing or something like that. No, it's not. It's actually not woke at all. But they come up with the words that people are the most tired of. Like, please, can we stop saying that? And so, a few of the words that are on the list, they want people to stop saying sorry, not sorry. That one's new on the list for 2025. Stop saying sorry, not sorry. Another one is the acronym IYKYK. You know what that is? The if you know, you know.
Yes, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Apparently that one is sick. How about era? Taylor Swift has worn that one out. They want that one gone. So era is gone. And then, I look at some of these and I don't even want to read them out, but I don't know that I've heard anybody say the word skibbity. Have you? Is skibbity a word? It is a word?
Well, it's in like the generation younger than me. It's like the tweens use that word.
So what is a skibbity? What does it do? What does it mean?
I don't think anybody knows. It's just a meme at this point.
Okay. So it's just a thing that got viral.
Yes.
All right. So the banished words list is out. But then I got to thinking about, okay. And you can check it out, by the way, Lake Superior State University banished words list. And I'm sure you have some of your own. Then I got to thinking, the wokeness, the fact that we got this cultural phenomenon called woke, which is really this liberal progressive nonsense so often. It has its own gobbledygook, right? It has its own jargon, its own communications that you have to use their words. And they're insistent too, aren't they? It's like the pronouns. It's like their names. By the way, here's a woke term just in itself, dead naming. Don't you dare call a transgender by what they used to be called before they were allowed to be transgender and live their truth. Oh, by the way, can we stop saying live their truth? But I love the fact that Sarah Huckabee Sanders, as governor of Arkansas, I don't know if you ever saw this, JP. I got a copy of it in my hands. She actually issued an executive order and ordered that there were certain woke phrases that would not be allowed in any state documents, period. Things like, we will not say pregnant people. We will not say pregnant person or pregnant women or pregnant mom. They're just pregnant because there's only one kind of person that can get pregnant. We will not say chest feeding. Oh, God, it's all over me. We will not use the phrase human milk. Oh, my gosh. We will not talk about birth givers. We will not use the phrase menstruating person. Arkansas is leading on this right now, by the way. I want to know, does the state of Alabama have any legal document that uses the phrase menstruating person?
I doubt it.
Better not. But I've got an entire glossary here. This is, so I've got a number of documents here. In fact, I keep a file. And every once in a while, I remember I have the file. I have this one. It's called the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Glossary of Terms. Do you see that? See how big that is?
Yeah.
I mean, this thing is roughly, it's like size 8 font, 30 pages long. Pick a letter. Any letter. Let's go through the glossary of terms. Pray tell, what letter would you choose?
I'll just start at the top. I'll go A.
Oh, let's just pick right at the beginning. Ableism. Ableism, the belief that disabled individuals are inferior to non-disabled individuals, leading to discrimination. It's ableism. It used to be called discrimination. Now it's ableism. All right. Another A. Acculturation. Acculturation. I don't know what it says. It's basically the general phenomenon of a person's learning the nuances of being initiated into a culture. It can carry negative connotations when referring to the attempt by dominant cultural groups to acculturate members of other. What does that even mean?
I don't. All I heard was a word salad right there. I don't know. I don't know how to dissect that one.
Pick another letter.
L.
B is full of good stuff. L. Oh, let's see. Let me flip back to L. L. M. Use your alphabet, Phil. Go back to L. L. I got things like in L. I've got. Have you ever heard of lines of difference?
No.
Lines of difference. L. A person who operates across lines of difference is one who welcomes and honors perspectives from others in different racial, gender, socioeconomic, generational, regional groups other than their own. Well, that's just called being a good person.
Yeah.
But now it's called lines of difference.
Lines of difference?
Lines. Lines. Lines of difference. There are lines of difference, and I am willing to reach across the lines of difference. Whatever. Pick another letter. Come on. Any letter.
I.
H-I-J. Okay. Oh, I can go all day on I, apparently. I could do imposter syndromes. I could do inclusive language. I could do indigenous peoples. I could do, how about intercultural competency? Intercultural competency. JP, are you interculturally competent?
I don't even know how to analyze if I am. I don't even know what that means.
A process of learning about and becoming allies with people from other cultures, thereby broadening our own understanding and ability to participate in a multicultural process. Good Lord. That's called just like being a good neighbor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pick another letter. I'm gonna pick it for you. W.
I was just about to say W.
Because I'm a Williams. So W. Oh, one of my favorites. White fragility. Discomfort and defensiveness on the part of a white person when confronted by information about racial inequality. And here's the thing. In that one, there's no win. There's usually no win with woke anyway. There's no win. If they tell you you're racist and you say, no, I'm not, you're defensive and that's your white fragility. If they tell you that you're racist and you accept it, then it's whiteness. Because whiteness is the broad social construction that actually embraces white culture, which could include racism.
So either way, you're bad.
You're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder how many of these you could just put together.
Is white rage in there?
No, I don't know if that one's in there or not. But white privilege is.
Yeah, of course.
I'm looking back now and I'm seeing the T's. Transsexual. What is transsexual? Transsexual.
I mean, so maybe that's a attack on conservatives trying to say that there's only two sexes. So it's like, oh, we're transgender and transsexual. I don't know. Or maybe it's a orientation. I'm not
How about
sure.
two-spirit? You know what two-spirit is?
Mm-mm.
It's a thing, man. Come on now.
I don't know.
That's why if you look at the acronym LGBTQ2IA, that's the two is two-spirit. Two-spirit. An umbrella term for a wide range of non-binary, culturally recognized gender identities and expressions among indigenous peoples. So basically it's Native American gay folks, I guess is what it is. You're two-spirit.
Interesting.
Whatever. You see, we got an entire, all right, listen, there's an entire glossary of woke terms that, I think the language of woke is dying off. I think it wore out its welcome. There will always be slang. There'll always be the Urban Dictionary. There's always going to be somebody who has a term you've never heard before. And old guys like me will always look at young guys like JP and say, what do you mean by that? That'll happen. Woke was different. Woke attempted to redefine norms. Woke attempted to redefine science. It attempted to destroy tradition. And in order to do that, you have to create new words. And then you sound very, very smart because you have all the new words. You know how to speak the speak. Listen, not that I want you to have to do this, but every once in a while, you ought to look at what the enemy says. Just go in, that's why Libs of TikTok is so successful. All Libs of TikTok did is just literally show you what they were saying themselves. That's how it started. Libs of TikTok is now an entity unto itself. And all it did was start off by saying, and here's what they say about themselves. And that's just, that's all it is. But they try to create language to go with it because what does it do? It validates them. It's like the pronoun thing. Well, you can't call me that. Don't you dare. Don't call me. My pronouns are they, them. No, they're not. And I'm not playing that game. Well, you have to use the right terms. So we're going to talk about BOPO today. What is BOPO? Body positivity. What does that mean? You feel good about yourself? Okay. Don't you dare try to bro-appropriate me. What does that mean? It's a man stole a woman's idea. What a stupid thing to say. That's called just stealing someone's idea. So all I'm saying is they come up with the language because that's how they try to make the whole scenario they've created. The fabrications of their wokeness are now suddenly validated because they've got a language of their own. You don't have to use it. And I say, let it go by the wayside. I'm going to keep these printouts in a drawer like a Rosetta Stone. So every once in a while I can pull them out and go, what's that dude saying over there on Twitter? And I'll have to pull the Rosetta Stone out and flip to page 19 and see what the eyes say in my glossary of woke terms. Oh my gosh. Okay, that was woke words. Just so you know, woke words are real, but woke words are not real at the same time. Like skibbity. I don't even know what skibbity is. You don't know what skibbity is either.
I know. I've heard it maybe a million times, but
you have?
Yeah, it's a meme. It's a meme word. I think it's a good.
All right. So if I was walking down the street right now and I wanted to use the word, in what context would I say skibbity?
There's no come on. That's the whole meme of it. It's just a word. Like it's just a fun word that the younger than myself generation has liked it. Like this is like a middle school kid term.
Is this like Mary Poppins, bibbity bobbity boo? Is that what we're talking about here?
No, it's in the genre of brain rot. You don't even know what brain rot means, do you?
I'm just staring at you now. JT Lacey Springs says, dumbassery. He said, a person who sports the theory of woke and DEI. Yes, and we do have jackassery. That's certainly that. Hey, Shag Nasty the Atheist checked in. Says, George Orwell's politics and the English language has a lot to add to your current discussion. Thank you. And he also says, I assume she, Shag Nasty the Atheist says, anti-intellectualism and corporate fascism are good little friends. Well, that was a neat little text. Thank you. And those are big words. TL from Huntsville says, in a meme, what's he got? It's an
article. He's talking about, if you read the text above
bird flu? Do what?
The text above it gives context to what he sent.
Okay, what was the text above it?
It says, back to the Butters and Lee aviation flu discussion. An avian flu vaccine is preparing for approval. See science.org article. Anyone doubtful about consuming vax chicken?
Yeah, no doubt. Yes. Red from Tony, Alabama says, I think I'm getting dumber the more words you read. Exactly. Robert from Ardmore just says, say skibbity, not libido. Spell check doesn't even know how to know the word yet. Skibbity. I don't know. Out of all those, I kind of like skibbity. I may start saying that just to irritate you.
Please don't.
just because I see your face every time I say it.
Please don't.
Skibbity. John from Huntsville says, Phil, I wish they would banish the saying, it's what it is. Oh, that's okay. I don't, listen, I can't stand that phrase. It's never is what it is. It is what you let it. Dave from Hazel Green says, skibbity doodah. It's zippity doodah, but yes. All right, listen, we're taking a break right now. Last break of the day. We'll come right back and put a lid on it. I'm just saying. I didn't say that, did I? Did I say lid? That's also a banished word.
A lid?
We don't put a lid on our day. That went out with the Biden administration. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Just, I mean, like, man. Skibbity, 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 skibbity.
Man, I love the word skibbity. It's my favorite.
I just Googled what is skibbity. And it, so this originated from a YouTube show called Skibbity Toilet.
Yeah, skibbity toilet.
It's a YouTube show featuring human-headed toilets battling camera-headed humans. Widely, what? This is like a madcap version of like Pee-wee's Playhouse. You know, with mecca like a high, make a hiney ho, or I don't know what's going on. This is Skibbity.
Don't ask me. It's not my generation.
Skibbity. I got a phone call. Who's on? Is that it's not on the board right now? Is that Jeff?
Jeffro from Indiana.
Jeffro from Indiana. Jeffro, how you doing, buddy?
Do you like your skippity plain or crunchy?
I like my skibbity fried.
There you go. Fried peanut butter. Huh?
Deep fried skibbity.
That does sound pretty good, actually. I wonder how it would taste.
There's got to be some truck stops. So maybe Buc-ee's has got some deep fried skibbity. What do you think?
Oh, man. Deep fried pickled eggs. I never tried that either.
Woo.
Maybe we should try that.
You getting all in now, man. Where you at? Where you out on the road right now?
I'm north of the split in Nashville, and I'm heading down the road.
Nice.
Hammer
Okay.
down.
Making good time. That's great. Good.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think, man? We covered some stuff today. You got any thoughts on it?
With all them T words you was coming out a while ago and everything, I kept thinking maybe you was applying for a play in the Rocky Horror Picture Show there, you know, Sweet Transvestite from Transsexual Transylvania.
that movie was way ahead of its time, wasn't it?
It was. I'm surprised it's not more popular than what it is now.
But you know what? At least back then they made it out like that was abnormal. You know, the Rocky Horror Picture Show poked fun and made things abnormal appear abnormal. Nowadays we're told that's real.
Yeah. Well, it's trouble. It almost became too real. You know, if you had to look for your past to see what your future is, I guess.
No doubt. Yeah, I just look at that. Like I said earlier, I think that I hope that it's not just that certain words we get tired of them. I hope that the entire woke language goes away. The abuse of the English language is about right on par with skibbity. With wokeness. Just saying.
Makes you wonder what the next new language is going to be like. You know.
You know what? How about we get back to just good grammar and the King's English? I'm fine with that.
Oh no! We got to have some woke words in there somewhere. Everybody's got to come up with their own language. You know how that goes.
Well, I mean, everybody's going to have jargon. There will always be slang, and then certain, ventures in life will have its own semi-language. But I hate the fact that we were told we had to speak that way. That's different. Hey, brother, I hate it, but like we're already there. We're already on the end of the music's about to play. So you be safe on the road, all right?
And for good buddy, catch you on the flip flop.
Skibbity, skibbity, skibbity. See ya.
See ya.
If y'all could see JP's face right now, it's just, I'm just going to say it to just to gripe you, man.
If you just want to watch me cringe all show, then go ahead. It is cringeworthy word.
Grown man over there saying skibbity. What is happening? All right, you guys, listen, great show and more to come tomorrow. Do not forget, there are more of us than there are of them. God is still very much on his throne. Y'all stay in the fight. We'll see you tomorrow.